like, y'all got to read this. It's like, this is just a powerful story. Hopefully they had some, I was nearly crying there. Hopefully they had a little tissue there so they could handle it. But
Man, it was like just a blessing to have that dog. And I don't know, it almost starts to choke a guy up because it's like, man, maybe that dog was just placed here just perfect for that reason.
mm,
Um,
Have you ever felt like your retriever might not turn out like you hoped for it to? We get it. The truth is, training a retriever isn't simple, but it doesn't have to be hard. On the Build From Here podcast, you're going to hear real stories from real people who used to be stuck with their retrievers, but are now confident they're on the right path to training their dog successfully.
welcome to the Build From Here podcast. On this episode, I am so excited to be introducing to you CG member Mike Meyer. He sent in his story, and I was just really blown away. You know, we're going to dive into it here in a little bit, but the one thing that stood out to me was his passion and including his family in the training. And I think that's always, you know, one of those beautiful things that we're passionate at Cornerstone about this, inspiring future generations to do the same. You know, and we want to have the experience for ourselves, but we also want to inspire future generations to do the same. But Mike has trained a Boykin and had, you know, phenomenal success, and is now on his next dog as well. And we'll kind of get more into that as we go. But just a phenomenal member and just an upstanding father. It's been amazing to see his journey with his pups and again, incorporating his children into the journey. It's just, that's what makes it all worth it. So with that said, welcome aboard, Mike. So glad you're here and glad you're on the podcast. Excited to share your story.
Thank you. Yeah, thanks for the kind words. I appreciate that.
You bet, man. It's hey, I mean, that's just you. You're the one that's incorporating your family. I'm just telling it like it is, you know.
Right. Yeah. Well, yeah, you only see the, good moments, but yeah, I try to make it as good as possible and get the girls in it, especially my older daughter. So yeah, we're having a
That's
good time with
awesome.
it. Yeah.
So we'll talk about them in a second, kind of the family thing, but just you know, for the members that don't know you, or for those that don't know you, maybe kind of give a little background, you know, where you're from, how you got into hunting as a whole, and yeah, we'd just love to know a little more about you.
All right. Yeah. So I'm from West Richland, Washington. It's southeastern Washington state. The area is known by the name Tri-Cities. Three main cities, Kennewick, Pasco, Richland, that all kind of incorporate each other together. And we've got the Columbia River, the Yakima River, and the Snake River all converging within, I'd say, 20 minutes of my house.
Oh, really?
I grew up probably a mile or two from where I live now, so I didn't make it very far. I don't know whether that's a good thing or not, but I live probably a half mile from the Yakima River, which is where I grew up hunting, me and my buddies. Crazy to think about the stuff that we did and how we're still alive. It's like I don't know what my parents were thinking sending these 14-year-old kids out there in their canoes, but somehow we did it and we survived. But yeah, my dad was a little bit into duck hunting. He kind of took us. He'd take us pheasant hunting, duck hunting, deer hunting. But for whatever reason, duck hunting just stuck. We always had labs, and my dad actually is a canine handler for an explosive detection dog for, I'd say, at least the past 20 years. He's retired now. He
Wow.
just retired last year. We can talk about that later if you want, but we've always had labs, and taking the dog hunting and going out there, shoot a couple ducks. I mean, we were never good. We'd shoot maybe 2-3 ducks, and we'd think we were the greatest duck hunters in the world. And then I got a little bit older and had some friends at school that were into hunting. And then, yeah, we started going. We had who's my wife now, her stepdad has a piece of property that's on the Yakima River. So he'd let us go down there and we'd hunt. And we probably started hunting together as a group at about 14, me and 3 other buddies. And one of them was really good at duck calling. And I'm like, man, this is the coolest thing ever. You're telling these ducks to come over here and they're doing it. So I talked to my dad about it, and one of his friends at work, his name's Abel Cortina, is a super good duck caller, like unreal, super good. I think that he's gone to Worlds 3 times, and
Wow.
I think he's gonna be mad at me if I say it wrong, but I want to say he's made it to the final round a few of those times, if not all of them.
Wow.
So my dad said, "Well, I can talk to him and see if he can help you out." So I started meeting up with him weekly for probably a good year or 2 years, and he was kind of well, not kind of, he was a great mentor for me. It taught me a lot about duck calling and contest calling. So then I started getting into contest calling, and then from then on out, I mean, it was just like duck call. Me and a duck caller everywhere. One of the neighbors just hates me because I'm blowing my duck call all the time. The other neighbors didn't mind it. They liked me. I was outside doing something, but uh, so that's kind of what really got me to dive deep into this whole waterfowl world was actually duck calling. And then when I was 18, I got my own dog. I got a black lab, and I thought, all right, I'm going to train this dog up, and this is going to be the best dog ever. And truth be told, knowing now, I failed that dog. It had so much potential, but I just didn't know what I was doing.
Mm.
That was 14 years, yeah, about 14 years ago when I got that dog. So we had YouTube and I would look up a couple things, but I'd never really hunted with a good dog, so I didn't know even what I should be looking for. I just knew I needed a dog to go get my ducks, and whether
Mm.
that be me throwing a rock out there so that so the dog could see the splash and sending the dog out, to me that was a good dog. And I worked seasonally at that point in time, so I'd work all summer, and then in the wintertime I'd hunt like every day. And my dad's like, "Just soak it up, enjoy it while you can, because it's only gonna last so long." He's like, "You got a few years of this, and then you'll be working for essentially the rest of your life." Like, "Okay, okay." So, I enjoyed it, and we have a 108-day season here in Washington, and we have a 7 duck limit. So, we could shoot 7 mallards, if hunting allows. So I bet I'd hunt every bit of 90 days of the season, and that probably lasted till I was about 22. And then I started
Wow.
finally working, tried to be an adult and work year round. Uh, but in that time, I worked for, a local outfitter, kinda just helping them out when they needed somebody, to take guys out, and I hunted with not a lot, a few bad dogs, and I'm thinking, I wouldn't really bring my dog that often because he would whine. Not horrible, but enough that it would irritate me, and I don't wanna irritate people with my dog.
Right.
Um, he just wasn't great. If he marked a bird go down, he'd go get it, but he was just like what they'd call a meat dog. He'd go get the ducks, and that was about it. So, and he wasn't very steady. So, um, one day I had a guy, and he came out and he said, "Hey, I've got this dog. I was curious if you'll let me bring it out with us." And I was kind of, yeah, yeah, that should be fine. He says, If the dog's bad, I'll put it away. It's no problem." I said, "All right, that sounds great." So he gets this dog, and the dog goes in the dog box, and it's staying there, steady as could be, quiet. You almost forget the dog's there. We're waiting for shooting time, and then first thing, shooting time, somebody shoots a duck, and it sails, and it probably goes 200 yards away. And we're like, "Okay, you know, we'll have to go out there." And he goes, "Well, I can send my dog on it." And I'm like, "Yeah, okay, yeah, we'll see about this." So he lines his dog up, he sends it, stops the dog, gets it redirected. Dog goes out there, gets this duck, brings it back, delivers it to hand, and I'm like, "Holy crap! I cannot believe what he just did. I didn't even know that was possible." Uh, And so I'm like, "Okay, well, maybe it was a fluke, we'll see." And as the day goes by, this dog just I couldn't believe it. And at the end of the hunt, he gets the dog out in front of everybody, and he says, "Okay, now smile." And he has the dog smile, it snarls its teeth, and I'm like, "This is ridiculous." He'd come out of the water, he'd tell it to shake, it goes back in the box, waits for the next duck. So I go, I gotta figure this out. And he had told me, this was probably 9 years ago, give or take, maybe 10 years ago. And at that point in time, I think he had told me that he had about $10,000 invested into that dog. So I'm like, "Oh boy, well, I'm not gonna be able to afford that, but, maybe in the future I'll be able to." So after that, I started working with my dog, getting on YouTube, trying to make my dog, be steady, be quiet, um, and that was essentially all I really wanted out of that dog. And we got him to that point. I ended up force fetching that dog, and man, it was hard on him. I just didn't know what I was doing. I just watched videos on YouTube, and okay, well, pinch his ear till he grabs a hold of this, and then let go. And it was a disservice to the dog.
Yeah.
So I'm kind of going off on a tangent. I apologize, but that
No, man, this is great, and that sounds pretty simple, right? Yeah, but
right,
we all know when you
yeah,
actually try to do something,
right,
it's not that easy.
yeah. So time went on, started a family, moved out of the parents' house. All that whole ordeal. I think when I was 22, yeah, uh, moved out full time. Working a real job year round, and got married that later that year. And life kind of happened. I still hunted quite a bit, but nothing like I was before. And I'm like, okay, this next dog I get, this is going to be a good dog. It has to be. Uh, so let me think here. So I decided maybe 3 years before I got that Boykin, I was like, these Boykin Spaniels are cool, but I was like, it's cold here. We get pretty cold winters. I don't know how they'll fare. So I did research and I Googled everything there is Boykin Spaniel on the internet. I think I've read it. Every video on YouTube, I've watched it. And I'm like, you know what? I'm gonna get one of these little dogs. I was like, I think it'll be pretty cool. And they just look cool to me. They just have a cool look. But I looked into breeders and I'm like, man, there's no breeders around here. I mean, on this, on the West Coast, it's like Boykin Spaniel is unheard of. So I found, I think there was two breeders that I found locally. There may be more, but this is what I found was there's a breeder in the Puget Sound, so over by Seattle area, which is about 3.5 hours away. Then there's a breeder in Plains, Montana, and it's called Double J Boykins. And that's where I ended up buying that first dog. Her name's Chili. That first Boykin Spaniel.
Chili.
Yeah, yeah. And so I ended up, okay, I'm gonna go with them. Got the dog in let me think here, get the dates straight. January of 2024, I picked up that puppy. But in the meantime, I'm trying to figure out how am I gonna train this dog, and I'm looking at multiple different online training things. I'm trying to figure out how much it's gonna cost if I want to send it off somewhere. And I'm just like, I'm trying to get our family started, get it, essentially get our feet on the ground. And uh, we bought this old 1918 farmhouse that we're trying to remodel. I'm like, I don't got no extra money, I got nothing. So I settled on, okay, I'm gonna train this dog myself. I can't afford to spend the money to send this dog off. And then the thought went through my head too is, man, what if I send the dog off, spend all this money, gets hit by a car, something happens, God forbid, and now I'm out, 5,000 plus, or more dollars, not even factoring in how much, I bought the dog for and all that. So I'm like, okay, I need to find a training program that I can do do at home. So I'm looking and looking, and I looked at a few, and I purchased actually another one different than CGA, and I'm just like, yeah, this just doesn't have exactly what I want. And then I'm looking at your guys', I go, man, that's pretty expensive. This other one's a lot cheaper, like a lot cheaper. And I'm like, I don't know. And I'm hemming and hawing and talking to my wife about it, and I'm like, the cool thing is I can use it on the next dog that I get. And this was a talk, even from the get go. I was like, I'll have it forever. And I'm like, I think I want to do it. I'm going to bite the bullet. I hope it's as good as I think it is. And obviously looking online, you guys have a great reputation. So I'm like, okay, we don't get a good reputation, and this big of a following without having a good product. So, okay. So I bought CGA, the 52 plus, and this was, I think, maybe a week or two before I picked up the puppy, and I'm watching all the onboarding videos and all that stuff and kind of starting to get into the first couple weeks and looking at the breakdown of this 52 weeks because I picked up this puppy at 8 weeks old in end of January, and we're going to be hunting in October. I was like, there's no ifs, ands, or buts. It's going to happen. And maybe we won't get all the way, through the 52 weeks in that time, obviously, but I would like to have the dog started and get her out there. So I get the puppy, we get started with the program, and she is like the perfect dog except for she hated the crate, and she would bark and bark and bark. So she got graduated to the garage pretty quick. And at night it was just she'd go in there and I swear she'd bark for an hour trying to get out
Mm.
of there. I'm like, man, this dog's horrible. But when it came to training, she was perfect. It was like, and I think you talk a little bit about in maybe the first week or two of actually getting into training. Hey, your dog may be doing really, really good, but you probably want to, don't get your hopes up. Essentially, they're going to pick up this stuff pretty quick, but they may struggle on some spots. And I'm like, yeah, well, this dog is different. She's perfect on training, and she got placed down great. Sit, heel, all the first couple weeks of that 52 plus, and I'm like, this is gonna be easy. And I did everything you said not to. My head got so big, I thought I was gonna be a professional dog trainer. So, which is hilarious thinking back. So we had a great time. This dog, I got a really cool boss. He let me bring the dog to work a lot of days. I didn't always bring her, but just that way so she didn't have so much crate time. And got her all through the basic obedience, and she was great, like excellent. Well, we got onto the retrieving, and it was just like a slap in the face. I'm like, this dog will not retrieve. I'm like, I'm done. This dog, she's a great dog. She's got a good obedience, but this dog is not a retriever. And I'm like, okay, Mike, you paid for this program. Why don't you just stick with it? So I tried to stick with it. And all of a sudden I'm seeing a little bit of progress, but it's not going as fast as I want, so I'm trying to rush things. And every time I start watching the video, you're saying, don't rush it, just take your time. If it takes longer than the week, then that's okay, essentially, to build from here. So I'm having to keep reminding myself, okay, stick with the program. Every time I get frustrated, I'll just end the training session. Hey, we'll come back out, we'll try again, and say an hour or whatever. So we get back out there, we do the training, and the timeline, it's hard for me to remember the timeline now, but all of a sudden, this dog went from not wanting to retrieve anything to just like barreling out 100 miles an hour to go get this bumper and bring it back to me. And I'm like, there's no way. I would have wrote this dog off. Like, if it wasn't for this training program, I would have wrote the dog off. This is not a retriever. I'm going back. I'm getting a black lab. I know it's going to be crazy for the bumper, but, and that's all like I said, that's all I ever had was labs. So that's all I knew. So this Boykin Spaniel was, and it could just be the dog. That's my only experience with Boykins is that first dog. So I'm like, man, maybe they just don't have the drive. I don't know, but it got unlocked one way or another. I stuck with the program, and I'm like, okay, I'm making I've got a dog here now. Like, this is going to be a good retriever. And my daughter, let's see, she was just over 1 when I got that puppy. And so, I mean, this was her dog. She just loved this dog. And I've got videos of this dog going up to her, biting on her diaper and tugging on it. And I mean, when it was a puppy, and her loving on it, and the dog sitting on its play sport in the house, and her going over and roughing it up and giving it love, and just an excellent family dog. And because these Boykins are so small, they're not just throwing the kid around. A lot of labs, at least that I've been around, they get excited and that butt starts swinging around and they're knocking the kids over. And at least the Boykin's a little bit, small enough that she's not, too rough on the 1.5-year-old kid or whatever she was at that point. So, she'd come out and help me train. She'd throw the bumper for me, not really much of a throw, but just, having fun with her and her puppy. And then that first hunting season came around. And let me know if you want me to talk about more about kind of leading up to that hunting season.
I'm enjoying the story, man. I don't have anything to ask right now. I'm just enjoying the story.
So like I said, a lot of frustration, but I just had to trust the program. And every time I just trust the program, I'd have success. And I'm like, okay, there's something to this, and you break down everything And the best part, in my opinion, or one of my favorite parts about this program, is you show your training sessions, with Violet, and you show little failures, like all these things that go wrong. I mean, it's not really a failure because you're building and learning, but you show the things that go wrong. I go, okay, well, if his dog's doing that, it's okay if my dog does it too. Because without that, if you just said, "Hey, here's what you're supposed to do," bam, 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 I'm gonna think my dog needs to be perfect on all these things, and you say it all the time that you're not looking for perfection yet. You just want to have something to build on. So, um, anyways, we got to that first hunting season, and I'm like, okay, we have this toxic blue green algae here that's new as of probably like 10 years ago
Oh
that
yeah.
I've ever heard of. It was never a worry before. So I'm watching, they do testing pretty frequently starting in like August around here. And our duck season doesn't open till middle of October. And that year there was no big toxic algae bloom. That would have been the fall of 2024. And I'm like, okay, I think we're gonna be safe. And I hunt the river a lot. That's kind of where I grew up hunting with my dad. And we've got just a little hunting boat. It's like a 16-foot with a 40 horse on it. And we go out opening day, and I'm like, okay, I'm not gonna shoot. I'm just gonna, just watch the dog and work the dog. And it was funny because this is a whole new environment. I think we were close to like mid 30 weeks on our training. So I'm kind of like, okay, I can't expect the world out of this dog, but I want her to be steady. I want her to mark and retrieve the ducks. So we're out there, and this is a spot that it's always good on opening day. Always. Well, not that day it wasn't. So we shot one duck, and I'm a little bit frustrated because I want to work this dog. And I'm like, okay, this isn't working out. The one duck we shot went down in water. It was about 6 inches deep. The dog watched it, saw it go down. I sent her out there, and it was, I would say dead, but it was moving in the water quite a bit. And she goes out there and she sniffs it and it barks at it. And I'm like, oh, you have got to be kidding. There's no way, it's like, okay, well, I gotta, I'm like, if I'm gonna take her hunting, I gotta make sure it's a fun hunt because she's, still a puppy. I gotta make sure it's fun, and I gotta make sure it's a learning experience. Um, so I'm like, all right, don't get frustrated with her, go out there. And I'm like, I need to give her the best chance of success here. So I get her, kind of get the duck and tease her a little bit with it, throw it, she retrieves it, do a little bit of that, and then I'm like, okay, all right, I think she'll be a little better. So we didn't shoot another duck that day. I'm like, man, I want to work this dog, I want to see her get a little bit of action, and I'm antsy, I've been doing all this training all summer. So we go the next day, we hunted a place maybe an hour away, and we knew it was going to be good. My buddies had hunted it that first day, and it got out of there quick. So I'm like, okay, that'll be awesome. And they wanted me to bring this dog because they're like, we know how much you've been working this dog, and they're like, so it ended up being four of us, and I'm like, I'm just concerned about a lot of shooting, a lot of hectic craziness, and they're like, no, we're just going to take turns shooting, and this is going to be for the dog. So I've got good friends. I mean, they're not out there just to, be bloodthirsty and kill everything. They really wanted to see success out of my dog, which was really nice. It was awesome. So we get out there, and it was a great day. We ended up killing 28 ducks, and I think it was like 4 geese. And she retrieved, I'd say, everything but maybe a couple of the ducks, that landed that she didn't see, or they landed on dry land next to us. And I'm like, holy crap, this dog's steady. She's marking well. I can send her out there, line her up on a duck that's laying out there dead. Send her. She goes and gets it, brings it back. However, these big ducks, my dog, she was probably 25 pounds at that
Oh
point.
wow.
And these big ducks, say mallards. I think it was all mallards and gadwall. And actually, there's a few pintail as well. So she'll get them to the bank and then she'll drop them and then she'll kind of try and drag them to me. And I'm like, man, we've been working. I had some birds that I froze, that we've been doing fetch and hold with. So not frustrated, but I'm like, okay, we need to fix this. So I go back to this fetch and hold training, uh, and just like worked it and worked it and worked it. Like when I get off work, we go in the garage, we do fetch and hold, and it took a lot of work. But she enjoyed every bit of it. Whereas when I did that force fetch with my black lab, it was not fun. And when I would have him fetch something and hold it, his ears would be down and he'd be sad. I mean, he did not love it at all. Well, this dog loved it, and she loved going out there to train. And she was still tough. She'd still want to mouth the bird. So I started healing her and would have her fetch and hold as we heal, and we walk around the front yard with her holding. And she just got better and better as the season went on. And just to fast forward, kind of, because I know I'm kind of long winded, we got to the point where I shoot a duck. Well, actually, I'll talk about this real quick. So we went and hunted that same spot on that video I sent where I shoot the duck and send the dog. She was steady as can be. I mean, no whining, no nothing. And like she'd just sit there and watch. And I'm like, this dog's been hunting for 2 weeks, and it's the best dog that I've ever had. As far as hunting goes. So as the season went on, tried to kind of fix the things that I knew we could fix and improve during the hunting season. And her fetch and hold was like perfect, I would say. And we got to the point, yeah, I'd shoot a duck, send her out. She'd come back, bring it to me, give it to me in my hand, and then she'd go right back to her place board or wherever I had her sitting. A lot of the places that we hunt is like public land, so they're like an improvised junk blind. So I'd actually bring that Cato board. I think that's how you say it, but however you say it, I'd take that with me actually everywhere, and I'd just use that as her little place board. And then I learned as the weather got cold, the Boykin, at least this Boykin, she didn't love it. She was out there, but she'd be shivering pretty quick. So I actually got some of that 2-inch thick pink insulation foam, and I spray painted it black, and I would have her sit on that, and it was like a world of difference for her. And it was like a little place board too that weighed almost nothing. I could pack it in.
That's a good idea.
So that was one thing I kind of figured out. And then my wife got mad at me because I took her. She had a Sitka like Primaloft jacket, and I'd wrap the dog in that. And I sent her a picture, and she's like, "Oh, that's nice. Yeah, you take my jacket for your dog." I go, I don't want her to get cold out here. So, but the last few years we haven't really got that cold. It was maybe like just below freezing or high 20s. And I felt totally comfortable having the dog out there. I had a little heater for her. But we'll see with this next puppy. I don't want the dog to be miserable, but I do expect them to hunt, below freezing as long as the conditions are right. So made it through that season, and I'm like, this is the best hunting dog I've ever had. Hunted with a buddy one of those days, and he's got a red lab, and he trained it himself. But obedience wise, I'm like, my dog looks so good out there, in comparison to his dog. It's a great dog, but where my dog was at with obedience, and his dog is a year older than mine, was worlds past his. And my dog's just there silent. His dog would take off, make a retrieve. My dog's just sitting there waiting. And I'm like, I can't believe this. With my last dog, this would have never happened. And it's all credit to the training and all these denials you're giving the dog, and making them patient and making them be content with, the conditions. And I think that's staying in one spot and being quiet. So that season comes and goes. I'm excited. I'm already, excited for the next year. And I'm like, okay, this next year is going to be this dog's breakout year. Uh, Although, truth be told, I got a little lazy with training. And, it didn't just pick up at, because I essentially paused, I would say in the mid 30s weeks of that 52 plus, and we picked up about, I don't know, somewhere in there, but we picked up about the same spot. It wasn't like I continued training during the hunting season. My focus was, okay, she's really good at these things. I'm going to fine tune her fetch and hold. And then once the season's over, then we'll kind of go back to working. So I slacked off, I can't lie. And then we've got a phenomenal, like crazy good salmon fishery here. And the summer sockeye is like, it's unreal, our fishing. So anyways, we went through spring. We did a little bit of training here and there, nothing crazy, didn't really build a lot. It was kind of almost maintaining what we had. And then our sockeye season kind of came to an end. Another nice thing about having an obedient dog is you can take it fishing with you, and it's not jumping out of the boat and chasing every time you cast and all that. I just tell her place on her little blanket, and she'd go lay down. So we get done with our sockeye season. I'm like, okay, time to dive into this training. And we start training. We're probably a week into getting back on the program, and I noticed her butt was swollen. And I'm like, what is going on? Are you in heat? I don't know. I don't know what the problem is. And it was bad. Like, I'm like, how long has it been like this? Obviously I'm with the dog every day, so I think I would have noticed. And it was like a Sunday, and I'm like, I'm taking the dog in. So we have an emergency vet here. I took her to the emergency vet, and they're like, I don't know. It's not a prolapse, but it almost is. And they're like, we're going to put her on antibiotics. We think it's a bacterial infection. Okay, fine. So put her on antibiotics, go home. On Monday, I called my vet to get her in and got an appointment set up. Took her in. I think it was maybe a few days later. Took her into my vet, and she's like, she goes, how old's the dog? And we're talking about the dog, and she was a little more than a year and a half old. She goes, this just looks like lymphoma. Her lymph nodes are swollen. But she goes, the dog's so young. She goes, I don't think that's what it is. She goes, maybe they hit the nail on the head with this bacterial infection. She said, stay on the antibiotics. And I think I can't remember now, but I want to say she prescribed me a different antibiotic to add onto that would cover broader spectrum. So she's on 2 antibiotics, if I remember right, and she's not getting any better. So a couple days later, and this vet she's so great. She gave me her personal number, and she's like, anything after hours, just call me, send me a picture. So it's getting worse, and then the lymph nodes on her neck were getting so swollen that her face was drooping. And I called the vet, and I sent her a picture, and she goes, okay, let's get her checked out. So she gave her a steroid shot, and the swelling, everything went down. And she's like, I don't like this at all. She goes, I think we need to do a sample on her lymph nodes. So, and then I'm looking at him like, good grief. I'm like, this is costing me a fortune, but I want the best for my dog. But I'm like, this is crazy. And yeah, that emergency visit alone, I think was like $1,000. And then I'm looking at, I think I racked up probably another 1,000 or 1,500 at my vet trying to do testing. And we did a blood test, and it came back pretty good. And so they do this sample from her lymph nodes. I bring her in, they take the sample, take her home. And then I think it was the next day or maybe 2 days later, she called me with the news. She said it's lymphoma. I can't remember, type B, large cell lymphoma. So I go, okay, well, what does that mean? And I kind of knew what that meant. She says, well, your options are chemo, or we can maybe put her on prednisone for a little while. You might get a little more out of her, but she goes, it's chemo essentially, or the dog's gonna pass, and she goes, "It's gonna happen quick too."
Oh,
So this
man.
is August of 25, and, I'm pretty tore up, and I'm like, I just can't fathom doing chemo to get a couple more years out of a dog when I know chemo is gonna be rough on her and that she's probably not gonna be the same dog, and I'm talking price of chemo with a vet, and I'm like, it's really it's not feasible for me, and I think at that point, maybe this is just me talking myself into it, but I said it's a disservice to this dog to do chemo and try and keep her around just to make me happy.
Mm.
Uh, so I said, "Okay, let's do prednisone, and, um, and we'll see what that does." And she had already had that steroid injection, so, all the swelling she was almost back to normal after that injection. Uh, Put her on prednisone, and I maybe got a week out of her, and she's starting to swell back up again. I called the vet, and she goes, "Well, we can give her another injection," but she goes, "It's just it it is what it is," type of thing, and she's a straight shooter. Uh, in my opinion, it's the kind of vet that I like. She's gonna tell you how it is, and it is what it is. She's not gonna try and sugarcoat it, which I appreciate. And she's kinda like, "It just might be the end of the road." So we're at very end of August, and I said, "Okay, well, I'm gonna see if we can hunt her on September 1st as our dove opener, um, and we'll see what happens." So we go out there, and I decided I wanted my daughter to come with us because I was like, "This is gonna be our last hunt with her dog." So she had her little purple shotgun out there and her earmuffs, her pink earmuffs, and she's got her chair, and we got her little toilet in case she has to go potty, and, I mean, I hauled so much stuff out there. Granted, we could drive right to where we went, but I'm, like, unloading the truck for 10 minutes with all these gadgets and everything to keep everybody happy, and it was actually a really good dove hunt. The dog was just perfect, and I'm like, "I don't know if this is just God just giving me one last perfect hunt with the dog, or if she just really was that good." Um And one thing that she had really failed not failed, but she really struggled with that first duck hunting season was she was not good at using her nose. I mean, she was the worst. I was like, "We'll see what happens," and she's using her nose, finding these little doves that are tucked in the brush and pulling them out of there, bringing them right back, and it was cool because 'cause she'd come back to her place board and hold the dove, and then my daughter would be able to get it from her, and it was just perfect. It was really, really cool. We probably hunted for 2 hours, and then my daughter decided she was done, and I think we'd shot like 9 or 10 doves. I said, "Hey, that's I'm good, we're all good." So she wanted to, just play out there for a little bit, so we played, and then we loaded up, and I'm like, "Man, this dog is." I'm like, "She's good to go. She's gonna go another couple weeks," because she was just like nothing phased her out there, and we got home, and an hour later, she's just I mean, literally dying. She's just in rough shape. She doesn't wanna get up. She just used everything she had, and I kinda felt guilty at that point. I was like, "She had fun, but man, I didn't mean to run her this ragged." So then I said, "I'll give her overnight," and I said, "Tomorrow just might be the day," and so September 2nd, uh, we decided to put her down, and it was rough. I'm like, this dog had such a good personality, great family dog, uh just everything you could ask for out of a dog, and then for her to go before she even hit 2 years old, it was a gut check.
Wow.
And yeah, yeah, I just can't say enough good things about that dog. The problem is, I think a lot of it was due to that training, you know? It was like, I'd have to say thank you to you guys. I mean, what a phenomenal course, and I was only halfway through, and I'm like, "This is the best hunting dog that I've ever had." And I'd put her up against any one of my buddy's dogs. Uh, However, she's not gonna be out there running trials or anything like that at that point in time. Um, but to me, I want a competent, well-behaved hunting dog. That's what I want, and that's what she was already. So, yeah, that and I after that, I'm thinking, I don't know what I'm gonna do. Hunting's not the same without a dog. Um, e I hunted with that dog by myself a lot that year, and I don't really care to go hunting by myself much, but that dog was forcing me to get out there, and I'm like, "I love hunting by myself," and then the dog passed away, and I go, "No, I loved hunting with my dog, not by myself." Uh, so that was kind of a tough realization, so, my daughter did get to go. She got to go, I think, on 2 duck hunts that first year, which was pretty special, and she's out there with her dog, watching her do her thing. Um, and anyways, I get to the point where it's like, I don't know what I'm gonna do. I don't know if I'm gonna get another Boykin. I don't know if I'm gonna get a lab. I talked to the breeder that I got her from before I knew it was lymphoma, and I said, "Hey, have you seen anything weird, allergies, anything funky?" And she's like, "No, I'll ask around and see, what I can figure out." And then found out it was lymphoma and kind of kept her updated on it. And she goes, "Well, here's the deal." She said, "I feel really bad for you." She had she had said something about she had a similar experience when she was young or younger and had a dog pass away young. And she goes, "I want to give you a puppy out of my next litter." And I'm like, "Well, like that's really nice and I appreciate the offer, but I don't know if I'm ready for a puppy." And, I was like, that's a lot of money that you're just giving up, essentially for her. So I talked to her about it a little bit and she goes, "No, no, I really, really want to give you a puppy." She says, "The problem is, uh, that litter was the last litter out of that sire and dam." So she goes, "I'm waiting for this new dog that I have to get pregnant." And she said she's having trouble getting pregnant. So she goes, "It may be a couple years before I even have a puppy for you." Like, "Okay, well, we'll see what happens." Well, a few months later, maybe 3, 4 months later, she goes, "Hey, my dog's pregnant. We got puppies. They're due. I think they were due like December 1st, which was almost the same birthday as that first puppy that I got." Um, and I'm like, "No way. Okay, that's cool." And she said, "There's one of them's for you, no matter what. What do you want?" I told her I wanted another female, and it's Boykin Spaniels, obviously, and, how generous of her to give up a puppy. And people say it, people say things all the time, but she followed through. She didn't ask for anything. Uh, I couldn't believe it. I tried to make it worth her while, um, and I hope it was, but, what a honest and, really generous person, and a breeder, like, to take care of me like that. I was shocked. I didn't expect it. Even when she had said it, I was like, "Yeah, well, we'll see," type of thing. Uh,
We'll link her. We'll link the kennel up in the comments or in the description below.
awesome. Yeah, that'd be great. So she says, "Okay, which one do you want?" She essentially gave me pick of the litter, and I'm like, You're spoiling me." It's like, "Pick one for me. I just want a female. That's all I want. Uh, Pick one for me." And she goes, "Well, I got this one that's really calm, and I got this one that's really crazy." She goes, "I think you'll like either of them." I said, "I'll take the calm one." I said, "I already had crazy." So I was like, "This dog's gonna be crazy no matter what. If it has a little bit more of a calm disposition from the get go, then I'll take it." So she wrote it down, and I told my daughter, and I said, "Hey, we're getting a new puppy. It's gonna be the same kind of dog. What do you want to name it?" And she thinks about it, and she goes, "Chili." And I said, "Well, you already had you already had a chili." And she says, "Well, this one will be chili too." I think she meant it like chili also, but I'm like, "Okay, chili number 2. All right, hey, we'll go with that. If that's what you want to name it." So I asked her a few different times, and, "What do you want to name it?" She said, "Chili." I said, "All right, chili it is." So
Wow.
that was kind of funny. I called the vet to make an appointment to get the puppy in to get checked out and everything, and they said, "What's the name?" And I said, "Chili 2." The lady says, "What?" And I said, Just chili number 2." And they go, "Okay." So
That is so cool.
yeah, so we picked up that dog. Let me think. I was like January 23rd of this year. And I'm
Yeah,
like, "Oh boy."
not long ago. Yeah, a few weeks ago.
Yeah, exactly. So I'm like, "We got puppy again already." So,
Wow.
and I was not looking forward to it. But when I got that first chili number 1, uh, man, I was stressed out, and I'm like, I just hope this training program works out. I kept telling everybody, I just hope the dog turns out.
Mm.
And with this new puppy, I know it's like I know she's gonna turn out. Uh, I just have so much confidence now after that first one that I'm like, it the dog's gonna turn out. It's just gonna be it's gonna be up to me, and how much time I put into it. And there's been like almost no frustration, not none. There's a little, but but almost no frustration. I just, you know, going through the program, and I'm like, okay, I'm gonna do what you say, and we'll kind of, go from here and see what happens. And so far, she's been great. I would say she's not as crisp and clean on obedience as that first one was, but she's doing great. I mean, it's a puppy, you can't ask too much of it. And then with this one, I've really been able to. My daughter's now 3. She turned 3 in February, February 1st. Um, and I've really been able to incorporate her in the training, and it's just been the coolest thing because this is her dog. I mean, she'll tell you this is my Chili and my new Chili. That's what there's an old Chili and new Chili now is what she's referring to him as. And it's been really cool. She has a blast, and I was a little bit concerned at first, hey, I don't want to confuse this puppy, with her using the clicker or me giving treats and she's giving treats, and we're switching everything up, and the more we kind of started doing stuff, I'm like, you know what? Everything's turning out just fine, and the dog's learning. She's going in the right direction. This is perfect. I'm getting to spend time with my daughter. I'm getting to spend time with the puppy. I'm learning. I'm getting more patient, and the dog's learning. And then my daughter's getting, special daddy time, and she's learning how to train a dog. I mean, it's like, and she loves it. Can we do training? Can we do training? And I'm like, yeah, sure. Anytime you want, it's like perfect. Yeah. So it's been really special. Something that where if I just shipped my dog off to a trainer, I'd miss out on all that stuff. And I'm really building a good connection. Me and my daughter already are just like two peas in a pod. We do stuff together all the time. I mean, I think she loves my wife more than she loves me, but she sure loves doing stuff with Dad. And this has been really, really special. Just this last month or so with this puppy. Our heel training is not excellent together. The dog wants to heel to me, and I'm like, okay, we're gonna wait till she's really fluent and through all the whole process and generalize that she will heel to you when you tell her. And then her little voice, I'm like, you got to say it crisp, clean, and clear. You got to, tell the puppy. And she just cracks me up trying to be, almost assertive to the dog. It just cracks me up. But yeah, that's kind of my whole story in a nutshell of what we kind of went through. And
y'all been through a lot, and y'all have to excuse me with this cold, but man, there's a lot we could talk about there. But I think as for listeners, hopefully they had some. I was nearly crying there. Hopefully they had a little tissue there so they could handle it. But
right.
That's just a case why you don't need to wait. And like on anything in life, like don't put it off. Don't wait, especially with this dog. Like you see people all the time. Yeah, I'm gonna wait until the dog is, they ease into the training. They don't worry about it. They start training later. They're thinking undecisive. Haven't made a decision. If you hadn't have made that decision, man, you gave that dog all that it could want and more and deserve in a very short period of time. And that's what matters. Like if you hadn't done that, man, like you had like those memories were made, and you didn't realize that you were just doing it because you wanted to have a good dog.
Yeah.
But when you look back on it like that, it's like, wow, it does matter that we start. I'm glad you got the course 2 weeks early. That's what a lot of the people do, but some people don't. They wait. Don't wait around. You only have today. You got to make every single day count. But man, that's what a powerful story just about us, and even that hunt. And I think you made the right decision hunting the dog. I mean, you gave that dog the best last day it really could ever have. And that's,
right.
Man, that's a testament to why I think people love dogs so much. I think you learn so much in life about the dogs. Like they um they teach us a lot, and they teach us that's how we should be. Just go hard till the very end, give it all you've got.
Yeah.
And but it was funny you said that you kind of slacked off on training there. You know, there's a reason for that. You had the best dog you ever could have wanted at that
Right.
point. It's kind of hard to
Right.
say. Well, I mean, this is pretty good. You can always go further, but if you get what
Yeah.
you want, I mean, that's what matters. But man, that it's just I love what you've done. I love how you've poured to that dog, and then now you're starting over with Chili too. That's pretty cute.
Yeah.
It's That's amazing. So but I like what you said too. To begin with, your first concerns were, will my dog turn out? What if my dog doesn't turn out? That's a big question I think a lot of people have. What if this doesn't work? What if the dog doesn't turn out? And we get that, right? I mean, everybody knows training's not simple. If it was, then there wouldn't be courses, there wouldn't be people trying to teach, there wouldn't be people that have been trying to learn for years that are still figuring things out, on the internet land. Like there's a lot of videos on it out there, and it doesn't make it any simpler. But it doesn't have to be hard. And as you went through the journey, I think you were able to make that training about as easy as it could be, just following the process, because it gave you something to. It basically gives you that consistency that most people lack in training. You need that consistency, and that consistency is not just getting out and training every day, because anybody can do that. It's, are you doing the right things every single day that you do train, and are you doing that week in, week out? And when you combine that together, that's what you're looking for. It gives you that good dog. But a lot of times we talk about training, but you forget to think about the meaning that it has. Like, I mean, I bet you'll never forget that journey
No.
that you went on with that dog. Like, there's probably, and we could probably try to unpack it on this podcast, but it would be hard to, the lessons that you learned, the valuable moments that you just are going to cherish in your heart yourself. It's we could unpack all that for hours here. And that 1.5 years or however long it was that you had your pup, and then here you are doing it again, and now your daughter's old enough to really actually participate. We'll try to throw that video clip up that you sent if you're good with that,
Yeah.
because that was cool. Like when the first thing I noticed when you sent me that video, I was like, man, that's some good clicker timing. A
Right.
three-year-old's getting it. That's amazing.
Right.
That's amazing. That was the first thing I noticed. I was watching. I was like, that is great clicker timing. That is
That's
awesome.
cool. Yeah, yeah, just to kinda, reiterate or back up what you just said, and you said it a whole lot better than I could say it, is I would come in, I don't know how many times from training that puppy, and I'd tell my wife, I'd say, "Man, I don't know if I'm training that dog or if that dog's training me," because I said, "Man, this is not easy," but I'm learning so much, and honestly, the patience and just having to be gentle with that dog helped me so much raise my 2 girls already that I'm like, man, it was like just a blessing to have that dog, and, I don't know, it almost starts to choke a guy up because it's like, man, maybe that dog was just placed here just perfect for that reason.
Mm,
Um,
wow.
yeah, so, like you said, I mean, man, what a crazy connection just through dog training. Trying to train a gun dog and learn all these things, yeah, what a special, special thing, and so I know I've said it, I don't wanna sound like I'm kissing your guys' butt, but thank you, because you guys, what a phenomenal, well thought out, easy to run course. That 52 plus is just, it's so nice. So thank you. Um, yeah, I mean, that's, I guess, all I can really say,
Oh,
but
thank you. Yeah, I told
yeah,
my wife, she did the video, like she filmed the videos, and I told her when you sent the first of all, when I read your thing, I sent to my whole family. I was like, y'all got to read this. I was like, this is just a
mhm,
powerful story. I was like, you're gonna cry, Mom. I was like, yeah, I cried.
yeah,
But then I told my wife, I was like, hey, I bet you didn't think someone would be having an experience like this. I certainly didn't think it. I mean, when we were filming the videos, we were just thinking about dog training, and
yeah,
my wife was not really an outdoors person. Her dad is and was and always will be, but she had never spent a lot of time. So filming 52 plus was one of her first times to be outside in the woods like every day. And so, that was just like, I bet when we're getting bit by ticks and all this and that, and it's hot and mosquitoes, I bet you didn't think this was going to happen, because I certainly didn't expect that to happen. I was thinking, I'm going to help someone train a dog. I didn't realize, like, that's what's going to happen. Like, those beautiful memories. And I thought that was funny. I was like, man, wow, that makes it all worth it. If we ever thought it was worth it, that makes it worth it.
Good. Well, I'm glad. And yeah, it's just like, who would have, yeah, like you said, who would have thought? Never that I did not think I was signing myself up for that when, when I got this training program and all that. But yeah, special and like I've said before, it just takes so much of the unknown out of it. You guys set it up from when you bring the puppy home to a finished dog, an advanced finished dog. So
Wow.
yeah, it's been a pretty cool thing, and we'll be going through it with this next one, and I hope it all goes. I'm sure it will, but I hope it all goes smooth, and I'm pretty confident go around that that everything's going to be just fine.
That's good. Well, and
Yeah,
look, and the truth is, like as you're going through it, there's always that question, the big question mark: will this work? Even with my dogs, if I get a new dog, and we forget about it, right? You have a puppy and you go through the process, and then it's like it's like when you have a baby and like all that experience, but after they're two or so, everybody, you kind of forget about all the sleepless nights and all that. And it's like, oh
yeah.
man, we should have another. And
Mhm.
then you get into that moment where it's like, oh man, this is really hard, and it's
Right.
and that's the truth. And training was never meant to be easy, because if it was easy, first of all, everybody'd do it and it wouldn't be that big a deal. And second
Yeah.
of all, it probably wouldn't be worth it. Most things in life that are strenuous, that are hard. I heard somebody say something. I thought it was very profound. I don't remember, but basically, a long story short, what they said, it was like, there's blessings on the other side of pain or hardship, and unfortunately, sometimes training does feel that way. Like you said, that you got that, you're confident this time around, but maybe even in the back of your mind, you're probably still wondering, hope it works out good, right?
Oh yeah.
And
Yeah.
that's normal. I want to say all that to say, because if anybody's listening to this podcast, and for you as you are on this journey, this starting out with this dog, all those questions and thoughts are totally normal, and it's okay that you have those questions in the back of your mind. If it makes anybody feel any better, I did when we were filming 52 plus for sure. I thought,
Right.
and except I amplified that by thinking, well, okay, if this doesn't work out, there goes our reputation. Everybody's gonna think, well, that didn't work. So,
Yeah.
but I did trust the process. I believed in it enough to at least start. And then when you're midway through and you're like questioning everything, I was like, oh man, what did we get ourselves into? And I was like,
Right.
I was like, I can't even allow myself to think like that. I didn't even leave room. So I'd feel that way for a minute and I would just cut it off, or I would quit for like a day, and then I'd come back with a new mindset. I was like, okay, we're good to go. We just get back at it.
Mm.
But that's just part of the journey. But I just want to make sure anybody that knows that's listening, and for you especially, like those concerns or like those questions, you go, that's part of the process. If you're having those things, that's good. Just keep going.
Mm.
You're gonna get there.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, yeah, it's well put. Just keep working. It's like it's all it takes is just time. Time and some effort. So yeah, I mean, like I said, everything worked out. Every time I thought it wasn't gonna, I'd keep at it, and it worked out. So it was like, just trust it, man. And I've been trying to tell all my friends that, they're talking about get a new puppy. It's like, dude, go get the 52 plus and just trust it. I'm telling you right now. So yeah, and a couple of my buddies are about at that point where they're going to be getting new dogs in the next couple years. So that'll be cool to see. And it makes it a lot nicer when you go hunting with them because they've got a good dog, and you can even use two dogs and everything goes smooth. But when you got a bad dog,
Mm.
it gets rough pretty quick.
Yeah, it sure does.
Yeah.
It doesn't take long for untrained dog to mess up a hunt, or a poorly trained dog. It's
Right.
you spend more time wrestling with a dog than you do killing ducks.
Yeah.
That's not fun.
Exactly. Yep. Yeah. So
Well, Mike, man, I want to say thank you for sharing the story. Thanks for you being authentic and transparent to share, really what happened and the whole journey. Because man, that's a journey you've been on, man. And I'm sorry that happened, but also I'm happy. I'm grateful that things have, are continuing well. And as bad as it is, it's all still worth it, even if you lose them. Like
mhm.
you just got to
Yeah.
do it, because like
Yeah.
you can't replace those memories. And like also the dog deserves it too. If you've got
Yeah.
a dog, like, or you're getting one, like it deserves the training. Like, give it what it deserves so that it can be, fulfilled and live the life that it's called to be. And same for us, let's get out there and do that. But I want to just say thank you for sharing the story. And before we kind of close out and kind of get some final thoughts, I do want to say, hey, first of all, we got to have you on here again as you train this dog. I would love to share some
Yeah.
more. But second of all, what are you most excited about with this pup? Is there anything going into this the second time around? What are you thinking any different, or what's kind of your game mindset to
Yeah.
win with this
Okay.
dog?
So a quick way, I know I've said it already, but a quick way to kind of put it is I have all the confidence in the world. So this is more of gonna this to me is gonna be more of a uh how can I get it done and incorporate my daughter?
Mm,
And I really want her to help and train this dog. She doesn't have to go hunting. She can do whatever she wants. Um, but what a special thing it'll be if, in a few years she can say, "Hey, I helped train this dog. This is my duck hunting dog."
wow.
Uh, so it's essentially I know the dog's gonna turn out. So how can I build a relationship with my daughter, her build a relationship with this dog, learn lessons along the way, and and kind of give the dog the best chance it has at becoming competent and a great retriever. Um, so I think my outlook this time is almost less of making it the best hunting dog possible. It's more kind of building the relationships because with that last dog, I realized how special that really is.
Mm.
Um, and that's hopefully that answers your question.
Oh, it does.
But that's
Yeah.
kind of where my mind is with this dog. Uh, I still want it to be great. I want it to be an excellent retriever, but first and foremost, I want to have fun doing it. So,
Yeah, all the dads out there, I'm sitting here thinking, "Man, I gotta get my girls out. We gotta go train
yeah.
right now," you know?
Right.
So, I was literally just as you're telling me, I was like, "Man, I gotta go right now. I gotta get the girls. We gotta
Well,
go. We gotta get some treats. We gotta get out there."
right, and the
Uh,
nice thing too is she just wants to do it so bad, and I think maybe that's why I'm so fired up about it, is because if she wants to, I'm all for it, and as soon as she doesn't wanna do the training or doesn't wanna go hunting with me or go fishing with me, that's fine. I'm perfectly happy. I'll go watch you do whatever you want, but right now, if she wants to do it, oh, we're gonna do it, you know?
mm.
We're gonna do it to the best of our ability, and hopefully everything will turn out just fine. So,
That's so cool. I'm excited to see this journey for you, Mike, and excited to see both you and your daughter train this dog, and, yeah, I can't wait for the follow-up episode. I know everybody that's listening now they'll be looking forward to that. But man, thank you for
yeah,
taking the time to share. It's an honor to have played a part in your journey, a small part. I know you said it's because of the program, and yeah, we've given you the system to follow, but you put in the work. You went out there and you did it. And this thing doesn't work without you, without people like you putting in the work and trusting it. That's a big part too. You didn't waver, right? Yeah, if you waver, you can get off course, but you trusted the process even when you weren't sure that it was going to turn out. As we
mhm,
just discussed, that's a normal emotion experience to have, but that's a crossroads and a cross point on whether you're going to make the right decision or not. And you made the right decision, and it worked out for you. So I appreciate the kind words, but I want to put those right back on you and just say, man, good work. You did a good job.
thank you. I appreciate that. Yeah, that I that's the easiest way to put it. I really appreciate the kind words and the help, that you've gave me along the way, and, yeah, to anybody that's listening to this, just have confidence. Stick with the program, have confidence, and you're gonna see success. So, it may take time, but it'll be worth it.